It would be cool if people showed up to this, but I don't know if anybody's going to. But we can do this anyway and get the ball rolling. I'll put this up on YouTube after. Oh, okay. Where do we start? This is very unscripted. We're just going to try to use Twitch. That's it. That's what we're doing. So I'm going to talk about and work on this Search and Destroy Call of Duty 2 map that I started working on probably about a year and a half ago, maybe more. My little brother, he still plays competitively with some people, some of his old COD buddies, and he asked me to make a Search and Destroy map for him. So I said yes, and I've slowly kind of chipped away at it for a long time, and I figured that maybe using the stream as a way to kind of, it'll help me kind of work on it and finish it, and actually kind of light the fire under my butt to get it done. So that's what we're doing. So before we start this whole thing, because I might do this more often, and I'll probably be working on this map for a little while to finish it. I just want to say that that before we get into this, that I when I worked at the COD Studios, I always worked on single player. I was not part of the multiplayer team. I was a COD modder for years before getting a job working on the game. So my opinions and workflows here that we're gonna look at are my own, and they should not be looked at as the methods that any of the COD Studios use to create their PvP maps, because I was not on that team. All right, so nobody's here still. It's just me. Let's take a look, all right? All right, so this is the map. This is like the final, let me open it up on my side. This is like the final top down for this map. At least what I want to do with it. And again, I've been working on this for a little while on and off. So I would never usually recommend trying to make like a polished 2D top down of anything that you're doing before you kind of are able to play test it. Sometimes when you have time, it's like fun to mess around, and if you like Photoshop, whatever, but go for it. But usually it's not the go-to thing. Excuse me, to do first. All right. So, originally when I was trying to think about what kind of search and destroy map I wanted to make, I decided to look at all of the maps, all of the search and destroy maps that Call of Duty has that are, popular, and why they're popular, and also like the ones that I like, right? Because that's where I'm going to draw the inspiration from. So I started looking at Standoff, which is really cool, a really fun map from Call of Duty 2, from Black Ops 2. And the thing is, I don't really know why people gravitate towards this map. I don't know why this one kind of sticks out as being super popular. I think maybe because it's just kind of like a standard run-of-the-mill search and destroy map, and it just kind of like works, maybe. But for me, like, just to kind of like dive into this thing, like the top down, this stuff isn't marked on here, unfortunately. But we've got the defender spawn is down here in the bottom left, and then we've got the attacker spawn up here in the right. And then you've got one bomb site over behind this building, and another one down, I think it's in the street right here. Yeah, they're not marked. But, this is really interesting because those bomb sites are really close together, which I don't think is super common. You're fairly exposed when you're at these bomb sites. And so when I was looking at this, one thing that I really like about this map is that you've got like this cool center building here that you can kind of approach and kind of get into from the side. There's a front entrance. This is kind of like a second floor. It's really not depicted well in here, but there's a second floor that you can kind of look out and jump down and get quickly to site B, and then really over, just hook around back of the building and you're at A. So I think maybe it's just, with these bomb sites being so close, it's like really easy to get into the action, and it just makes for really fun, little fun combat moments. But one thing I don't like about this map is I mentioned like how exposed these bomb sites are. They're just kind of like placed out in the open. I don't like this back one, because it's like you can only really approach it from those sides. So it's like you don't really have like a lot of options, to kind of get around it and kind of circumvent any of the combat that's happening, and, have those cool little moments where you're like, okay, they're fighting, and I'm going to go plant while that's happening, and they're distracted. It's just front on combat from both sides. And then with the one in the street, I think that it's like a weird corner to be placed in. And it's for a similar reason. It's like you can't really get around it. It's like you either approach it from the front, from the street, and if you go from the back, there's like this little wall that you have to hop over. And it's kind of weird. I just don't like that kind of movement to get into the bomb site, to like have to climb over and mantle something. Um, so yeah, so when I was looking at my map, like I wanted to kind of draw inspiration from this one, but maybe, you know, fix some of that stuff or just kind of do it differently. So I decided to go on like this. Let's go back to it. This kind of like French town that's like being occupied. You know, it's COD 2, so it's World War II. And I'd have like this main street that kind of mimics the same kind of thing. There's a main street, and the bomb sites are kind of in similar positions, right? Like they're really close together. But with this one, what I wanted to do with that B site is kind of have it in ruins. Like, you know, if it had crashed through a building, and, you know, see, there's like a lot of debris and rubble all around, and it can make for really fun positions for the attackers to kind of get the higher ground as you're approaching it from either side. So again, a similar quality from Standoff, but on Standoff it's not as as on the nose as I want it to be on this. And then for the defenders, you know, of course you need to have equal opportunities to defend from. So it's kind of like this lower area, and I think I've changed it since this top down was made. And there's like a staircase that leads up, and then a staircase over here that leads up, and then you've got like the entrance from Main Street. And then in the courtyard is where the A site is. So this one, you know, from the spawn, you can kind of run right in there. There's more approaches, like you have to get in this one way, but you can also come from the main street. And then once you're inside, you can kind of split off. Like there's this entrance right here, so you can kind of hook around, and there's windows in this building. So again, trying to solve some of those things that I didn't like about Standoff. So let's just jump into the map, and I can show you like the history of where it's been over the last year and a half. Okay, so this was one of the first ones, and it looks very different from that top down, but the main difference is that in the center road, I just felt like having a street was kind of, I don't know, silly or just kind of like basic, I guess. I was like, no, I don't want to just have like this crazy street with like these long sight lines like every other map, like with this a street. So I kind of wanted to split everything up and put like this fountain in the middle or some sort of landmark, just to kind of give that main route a little bit more characteristic, and to kind of open it up a little bit more, so it wasn't just another laney lane. But it just didn't feel right. It wasn't working, and I just felt that the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. Another thing too is that with Search and Destroy, it's like you don't really want players to kind of all go to the same, you know, center. You don't really want everybody flowing to the same cool golden path. Like you kind of want to spread people out and have this little kind of mystery of for each team to kind of make call outs, you know, like which site are they going to? It's not about which path. It's not about going to that big thing. It's like which site are they going to? And I just felt like putting more weight, like creating like this cool anchor point in the middle, was just going to kind of, I don't know, remove that element kind of. I don't know, maybe not. But it evolved. You know, I tried a few things over here. I think I like closed it in a little bit and was going to have like a little market area. And then I think what I ended up settling on was kind of like what you see in the top down, where it's there's a main street, but to give it that cool extra oomph, I was like, well, what if it's like, you know, all those buildings are destroyed, so it's like rubble. So this red is supposed to, you know, it's supposed to be rubble. So it's like there's like a buildup, like snow piles of just debris. And so when you're walking down that street, it's kind of like this cool kill zone, but there's cover, but it just kind of feels like you really shouldn't be there, you know. And if it's an occupied or was an occupied town, there'd be barbed wire. Like, you know, there's this tank right here that's crashing through this building, so that's really cool for cover, and there's some debris for cover. And actually, so what it's doing is, instead of opening up the street, I actually kind of squished it all down so that it does both things, right? Like it's a more fun, interesting space, but it doesn't take away from everything else that the design needs, the layout needs. Okay, so we're just going to work on the map now. So pretty much what I got to was that layout, right? Like that's kind of what I went with after I kind of solved. That was my big problem, was what was I going to do with that main street? Everything else kind of like fell into place. You know, like I knew I wanted to have the ruins over here for B site. So what I did was this whole section pretty much is just ruins as you work your way through. So that's cool. Just kind of kept that same theme throughout that entire section. And then the courtyard is just going to be like a back courtyard to a bunch of these apartments. So cool, whatever. Shops along the main street, shops over here. Then there's like cafe. Actually, the cafe. So there was a bunch of reference that I pulled from this town. Vagu, I think is how it's pronounced. I asked someone who's French. And so I actually took some screenshots from Google Maps from the buildings that I'm pretty sure were there in the 40s when World War II was happening. And I took some screenshots, and that's where I'm building a lot of the reference off of. So we can actually look at some of that stuff. Let me open up the actual map that I've been arting and working on, though. Now, this is a mess. I haven't been doing a great job at keeping a lot of what I've been doing clean. Like this, like look at this, like floating stuff. And I'll just randomly for like a week, I'll work on a building, and then I would go, I don't feel like working on this building anymore. And I just move to the next one. So it's just gross because nothing's ever really done. I think the most done thing is probably like this right here. And even still, the streets are kind of bare. But again, this is Call of Duty 2. This game is what, like 15 years old. So, I mean, the fidelity doesn't need to be that high. I think already it's probably higher than any of the shipped maps in these little bits that are kind of done already. But anyway, so what I had been working on was trying to finish and just detail out some of these buildings so that at least this back half of the map kind of looked and felt finished. Mainly because I'm also pretty happy with the layout in the back area. I might have to change some of the stuff down here, which we'll go over later. But I kind of just wanted to take some time to just start working on stuff and detailing. Right, so reference. I wanted to look at where I got some of this from. There. All right, so this is part of that city. And actually, this is the building right here that I was just working on. So if I can go back to Radiant, cool. So that's that building right there. It's not much yet. But the goal is to try to match it as close as I can. So then back to Google Maps. So we've got like over here. We've got like this building here, right? Okay. And pretty much what I did was I just went through. This was actually partly before I really, like while I was trying to think about the layout, I was driving around on Google Maps and I was finding these interesting places that I thought would be cool or fit the map well. So I kind of like pegged them and like placed them throughout the layout as I was building it, which is a little uncommon. Like I think most of the time designers don't do that. They just kind of like block out and they get a good feel for the place. And maybe there's a few things that they draw inspiration from, but they're not like, maybe they are like going around and just like plucking, okay, I want that, and I want that, and I want that in there, and then trying to find where it goes. So that's what I did with this. So like, here's that building. And then if we go back to Radiant here, and it's not finished, like I just kind of like, again, like I worked on it probably for like a couple days, got it to a point where I was like, all right, cool. Like I'm bored with it now, and then moved on to something else. So that's it there in Radiant, and then in Google Maps, did it come up? There. Okay. So you get the picture. I don't need to go through all of these that I've done. Well, I guess the last one is kind of, so this one right here, which again, it's not perfect, but this one I based off of this little like market area over here. And I feel like, yeah, it's tough to see, yeah, like right here. It's tough to see in Google Maps. I found better pictures of it on Google Maps or Google search. Just like right here. So like when you pull back from that, you know, you get kind of that kind of thing with the buildings on the sides, and it just kind of has like alleyways that go behind it. So that was the inspiration behind this entire back section over here. And then to have like a cut through for the attackers, I just knocked down that wall to let you into that building. So then you can kind of like go up, kind of peek out the side, jump down, or go forward, and kind of blew out the floors here. Because, you know, this building's really narrow, so I felt like if I didn't do something like that, it would just be really kind of messy to navigate. So I just tried to come up with interesting ways to kind of make it feel better for the gameplay, but also look cooler. It makes sense. And it just kind of all connects and flows. Yeah, and then here's the other site. And what I'm going to do here is this is going to be like a little fountain that was there, and this will be like a courtyard, like a back apartment courtyard, backyard type of thing. Clothes hanging, grass, like backyard for kids, but maybe like an old fountain, or maybe it's not a fountain because maybe that wouldn't really make sense there, right? Like maybe it should be just like haystacks or whatever. I feel like this tea that I'm drinking is making my throat worse. Like, man, I need water. Maybe that's better. All right. So that's kind of like the rundown of most of the map. Right over here, we got that B site that I said earlier, where I thought it'd be cool if like a half track had driven through the building, and then it's all dilapidated anyway because it's World War II. But that's where the truck kind of just like rests, and then you've got these cool positions that the attackers can kind of come from their spawn, so they get kind of like this overview. Kind of come over here, check out the area, make sure there's no defenders before they pop down and plant. You know, and then of course they're hiding, or of course they're still getting into the space. And then hopefully some fun combat happens, right? So yeah, that's pretty much like the whole thing in a nutshell. I might as well just start. Oh, hey, Brian. What's going on, buddy? Might as well start doing stuff. Brian's like, man, you still working on this? He's like, I remember you streaming this like a year ago. Yeah, I haven't really touched it since a lot of that stuff. I brought in some cool source textures. Somebody gave them to me, actually. All right, so let's just like, I'm going to just work on this building, just detail it out. Now, there's 5 people watching. If anybody has any questions, any level design related topics you want to talk about, you know, put them in there. Help me out, because I could use something to blabber about while I'm detailing stuff. Otherwise, you're just going to be watching me like stretching verts. I want this window to be open because this will look like right, yeah, almost right into the bomb site, which is nice. I really like that sight line there. You know, you don't really want a super overpowered sight line just kind of looking right into the objective area. So this building is a nice way to break it up, almost to the point where like when you are here, there's like that 3 seconds where you're like, okay, this is awesome, I'm going to stay here. And like maybe you can kind of see somebody, and you can, if they're, you know, right where you need them to be, you can kind of get a shot off. But then you kind of get that itch to get out, right? And just kind of like, okay, well, I need to move. So it's just kind of that little, the level design doing that little push to kind of move and push forward. All right, anyway, so I'm going to just start detailing this out. So this was actually funny because this was before it was like the smaller building that I had started working on, and got pretty far with it, you know, just kind of like just going for it and just detailing it. But then I just didn't think that it matched the kind of the theme and just kind of like the environment. Like it just looks more like a regular old French townhouse. And I think it should be more storefronty, kind of like the reference that we were looking at before. So I started to like build over it, as sometimes you do in a different prefab. Just trying to match all the positioning for the windows and the stairs and everything I needed it to be. And the ref for that, oh man, I hate switching. I'll get better at this whole thing. This is what it's going to be, what I'm trying to make it look like. So I've never like multitasked before with this, so I don't really know if I'm even going to be able to like concentrate. I feel like I'm just going to like zip around and chit chat the whole time, and I'd probably get so much more done if I just wasn't on Twitch, which is funny because the whole point of this was to make me finish this map and work on it more. We've had this Twitch for a while now, and we've never used it. We have things we want to do with it, but we just haven't had the time or the energy, or just, you know, we haven't all gotten together and made a decision on what we wanted to do. But we have some cool plans for it. I'm hoping that Nathan can do some portfolio reviews, you know, and I'm also thinking that, like, you know, outside people that aren't moderators, like, who cares? Like, if you work in the industry, so like you, Aaron, like, if you had ideas for something or just wanted, I don't know, like, I feel like getting to the point where if someone just wants to come on who's a level designer and they just want to sign into the channel and just use it as I'm using it right now, you know, maybe they have a topic or something, I think that'd be really cool, you know, and they can just like come on and do their thing. And then eventually it'd be cool if like all day long it was just like on, and it's like a TV station where you just kind of log in and you're just watching someone do something level design or game development related. And now that I'm putting that out there, someone else is probably going to steal that idea, some other community. That'd be fun. Community channel. That sounds dope. I know. That's what I'm saying. Why hasn't it been done? Probably because it's really hard. And Twitch doesn't allow multiple users to like own and log into an account so easily, right? Without giving passwords and stuff. Yeah, this is weird. I can't multitask like this. All right, I want the second floor to be different. What do we got? What do we got? COD 2, Radiant. What kind of textures are we looking at? I'm going to play Overwatch 2 in a little while, I think. Oh, it's already 9:05. All right. Let's do something. Different color. Come on. Let's bring some color into the scene. Sure. I feel like this material is used like once in the actual game, the ship game. I did all this wonky crap with the geo because I was trying to like do this thing on the outside, and then it's just like, ugh, I have like split layers here. It's like not the best way to do it. All right, and then, you know, I might as well work on this little part. Get some direction. Let's get some structure to this detailing here. I think you can provide a stream key to people and they can stream, but can't edit the channel. Oh, okay, cool. See, that's also another thing is that I'm, you know, like, I don't know all this stuff. And it makes me feel very old. Like, I feel like I'm, you know, I'm not that old. I'm only 33. I know you guys aren't that much younger than me, but like, I feel like I'm at that point where like, if I don't keep up with this shit, then it makes me feel very old, you know? What am I doing here? And then I just feel like I'm finally at that point where like I don't care about keeping up with stuff. So then it just makes it worse because then it seems like I don't know. And it makes it seem like I'm old when really it's just that I don't care. And I have other things to worry about. Like I have this friend that I met, and she's, I met her in Ireland when I was there this summer, and she's like 23. And she's just like super into like Be Real, like that app that it's like another Instagram kind of thing where like it takes a picture, it gives you like a 2-minute window to take a picture of whatever you're doing, because it's like you gotta be real, you know, not like Instagram where you can like put filters on stuff. So you kind of have to like in the moment you have like those 2 minutes to take a photo, and then that's it. Outside of that, those 2 minutes, and that's cool and everything, and I got it, and then like I couldn't like figure something out, and she's like talking to me about it. She's like, come on, don't you know how to like work the app? And I was just like, I know how to work the app. If I cared enough, if I cared about the app, like if I was 23 and I cared, then I would do it and I would learn how to use this thing properly. But I don't care. That's the thing. It's not that I'm old, and that's what I think, you know, a lot of stuff is like when you, I don't know, with your parent, like computers, like they didn't care, they didn't give a crap. So like, why would they know? But also they're old. Whatever. I don't know. Like, let's concentrate on this because I'm doing an awful job at making this building look destroyed, and now I'm getting mad at myself because I can do better. All right. So I like doing the destroyed stuff with the BSP because you can get like some cool. It's all about just getting like, no, stay on the grid, please. These little kind of chord elements. That actually, no, yeah. All right, that looks nice. And I could probably just leave that like that. It's a nice little chip. Nice little chip off the old block, you know? We got 7 people. Well, who's here now? Show yourself. Now we're getting on something here. What am I gonna do with this one? I didn't even post this on Twitter or anything. I didn't really kind of want to. First one, you know. This one. I'm gonna do this. This one. Don't need to go crazy here. Let's do that, and then something like this. See, I don't like that like hump right there. Aaron, you know what I'm talking about. He's watching this. He's like, I know what you're doing. He's like, I know where you're going with this. This one should be like, there we go. That's all I needed. I needed to extend all the way. I wanted to use all of this wall right here. That's fine. I'm happy with that. Whatever. And then we're going to select these faces. Maybe this is like Bob Ross. That's kind of like what it is, right? No. Select these faces. You can do it with me. You can have a map open and Maybe we should do that, like build the same thing together. Maybe that's like like a stream, like a show, like a thing to do. I need some rubble. These ideas are copyrighted by the Design Den. Okay, all rights reserved for this stuff. Yeah, I usually don't like doing these ones with the, because then you gotta rotate everything, and then half of them don't match. That looks fine. That's cool. All right, done. Of course, this is gonna be destroyed too. I don't feel like, let's save some time. I don't feel like destroying that window, so let's just keep it to this little bit right here. We'll get close though. That'll be fun. 8 people watching. Who's here? Identify yourself. I think you could provide a stream. Oh no, okay, that's old. We read that. Let's do get like right here. Boom. Do something like this. Yeah, that's fine. By the way, yeah, I'd love to catch up at some point. Just been busy with life stuff. Yeah, man. Damn. Twice within a year. Yeah, that's tough. I feel you there. I've done the moves around, But hopefully they're good moves. Hopefully it means you're busy and they're healthy moves, Not a bad move. I realized that I hadn't, up until the apartment that I have now, where I've lived for like 2.5 years, I hadn't lived in the same place for more than, the max amount of years was 2 years, since I was lived at home with my parents in high school, throughout college. And then when I moved to LA, I kept moving apartments every year. The max was just, I stayed at one apartment for 2 years. That was it. In the last, that was 11 years. It's just weird when you kind of think about how much you sometimes can move. So I can't wait to get to the point where I own a house and just I can settle, just chill with the fam, not with the kids, Can't have kids changing schools all the time. It's no good. All right, cool. So the destruction is fine for now. No, let's finish. Just, you know what? That's my problem, is I don't finish anything. I just kind of get happy with it a little bit, and then I say I'll go back to it and fix it, which I will do. But let's just, for the stream, we'll do it the right way. We're gonna finish this whole thing. We're gonna go like this. We'll just keep this one simple. Do that. I don't like it. Go up higher. Go up higher. Go up there. Go up there. And then do that. Do that. And then do that. And then leave it. No, I don't like it. There we go. I like it. No, I don't like it. Let's do perfect. I like that. A little happy mistake. A little happy accident, as Bob Ross would say. Okay. And no one's ever going to get up there, so I could just caulk those. But all right, and these are bricks, so they won't destroy this. They won't break the same way. Whatever, that's fine. No one's going to care. Oh, and I guess, was this whole thing supposed to be brick? That I just fucked that up for myself? Oh, whatever. I don't. It's fine. Big chunks like that are fine. All right. I'm going to hop over to some Overwatch, I think, in 2 minutes. Let's call this Aaron, if you're still watching, if you wanna hop on, you wanna play Overwatch with me? You play, don't you? All right, so that's good. It's good progress on that building, and we'll maybe like every day or every other day, I'll do a stream. I can't do it around the same time every day. I'm probably going to make these like it's like the late show or something, like 12, like midnight Pacific time, which maybe means that nobody will watch it at all, because it'll be like 3 a.m. Nice. Okay, cool, Aaron. But maybe if it gets on a roll and I do like every day when I wake up before I start work, because it's 9 a.m. my time, maybe that'll be good. We'll see. All right, so I'm gonna stop this. Let's close out our Radiant.